The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 551. Mr. Somich.
Favorite track, Churchill, huzzah! Actually, not.
This is what happens when Santa Anita has 4-horse grade 2s. We're like, and Backwood is off because I guess they want to give everybody time to. The excuse is they want to give people time to ship to Saratoga. They want everybody to forget about the disaster that happened on Monday with the off the turf after they started the sequence. Oh, hey, look, we got this giant ass carryover waiting for us when we get to Saratoga.
Yeah. Welcome. I mean, it's not like we've never seen this before from Naira, right?
My goodness, they're not even trying to be subtle about it.
Yeah, we get a carryover going to Saratoga. That's nice at least. But yeah, look, this is I don't know. We're going to cover late pick 5 from Churchill. And interesting, we got a couple fun horses back that we've had before. Tapit Trice makes another return to the show. So excited to talk about him a little bit. Kind of tough sequence though to really to figure out how you're going to make it profitable. It's tough one to figure out how you hit a $3,000 winner, right? Like to come up with a sequence that you think you're going to be able to structure in a certain way. You have Skelly in the first leg. Everyone in the chat already saying Skelly's single. I think you have to try and beat Skelly if you really want to make this a big ticket. Although I do agree Skelly probably the best horse to beat there. So it's interesting kind of how you want to structure this and where your opinions are. I really like the last race, but the previous 4 I think are really difficult.
Yeah, the last race is a 1 1/8 race on turf. There's a couple scratches. I told Mike it's a good thing I didn't try convincing him this because I had to convince him to go back to Churchill.
True story.
And I was like, there's nothing else for us to. There's really nothing else for us to cover. So I was like, let's go to Churchill. I'm really glad I didn't try saying Jonathan Thomas has got a bunch of live horses there because Jonathan Thomas looked at what happened at the Churchill card and he goes, no, you're going to Monmouth. You're going to Santa Anita. We are running nobody at Churchill Downs this weekend. That would have been really
Yeah. It's just this is an interesting sequence. I mean, all these races, none of them are tough. They're easy. They're big fields everywhere. I mean, I guess you could argue Skelly's easy. If Skelly wins by 5, then yeah, you're right. But this is to me, I didn't whip through any of these and be like, oh, love this horse, love this single, love that single. I am going to single somewhere, but I'm not going to single in the first leg. But it wasn't an easy sequence to get through for me. I thought it took longer than it normally takes for me to handicap a sequence.
Well, let's get into this show. We'll find out our tickets, and we'll find out who Mike's not going to single or who he's going to use in the opening race here with Skelly. So without further ado, riders up. All right, Mick, here we go. First leg of the Churchill Downs late pick 5, Saturday, June 1. Race 7 is the Aristides Stakes for 8 older males sprinting 6 on. Did you go on top?
I went with Skelly on top. And I mean, I'll let you go into all the reasons here. I know Skelly's your single in the sequence, but the horse is really good, really consistent. The only loss coming overseas in the U.S., it's now 9 in a row that Skelly's won. So that's pretty good. One knock, I would say, on Skelly. All of the work's been done at Oaklawn. So we'll see what we can do when we go to Churchill Downs. Now, did break the maiden at Churchill Downs, ran second at Churchill Downs as well. So I get it. If you want to just single and move along, I'm actually going 4 deep here to try and get around Skelly. Well, using Skelly, we try and get around Skelly to see if we can build up a bigger ticket and hit a nicer payoff.
I mean, if you look at Skelly's resume, I can respect, especially with it being you, if you want to try and beat him. I looked to see if I could pair somebody else up with him too, and I couldn't make an excuse for why Skelly loses, because if you look through his past races, all 10 of his career wins have been at this distance. He hasn't lost a race since January 2023. The only time he lost at Churchill is because it's the only time he tried not 6 furlongs. It was a 5 furlong race. So he's got so much talent. I also love that he came back from Riyadh, where he had that close loss in the $1.5 million sprint stakes there. He's come back and had 2 equally impressive wins since before he left. There's no bounce for this horse. He's just shoo, and he's so fast. It's going to take a suicidal pace for someone to go, like someone's going to have to send a horse on a suicide mission to wear him down if anybody wants a chance to beat him.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be the interesting thing. What is the pace in this race, and if anyone goes with Skelly? I mean, like the only if I don't want to like blast Skelly here. Just the competition that Skelly's beat hasn't been much. It's rare you see a horse win 10 times for $1.5 million and yet never has stepped up into the big game, right? I mean, yeah, the $1.5 million race overseas, okay, but that's not getting the best U.S. sprinters. Has never competed above the grade 3 level here in the U.S. Like that, it's surprising when you see a horse like this who hasn't jumped up and taken that leap. And so, because of that, I'm going to take a couple swings in here in grade 3, which again the highest level that Skelly's been in, and I'm going to go with the pace collapse as the first horse I'm going to use, and that's the 6 Bourbon Heist. It's if the 2 goes close the game sugar and tries to press Skelly, which I wouldn't be shocked if the 2 decides to send from that post with IRED back up for Adam Rice, then that is the world where you see Bourbon Heist get the trip that you need to win here. And Bourbon Heist is 1 for 6 at the distance, but 2 seconds, 2/3. Second off the layoff is a 5-year-old. It's a practical joke horse. You get Luis Saez up. Second off the layoff, there's enough to like, especially at 10-1, which is going to be every bit of that 10-1 because Skelly's in here. That I'm gonna take a shot here with 6 Bourbon Heist to start it out, and then I'm gonna use the 2 close the game sugar as well. 10-1 on the morning line. IRED Ortiz, Adam Rice, as I mentioned. This is a horse that I thought was really impressive first off the bench last time. Now gets a drop 3 pounds because carried 121 last time. Going to carry 118 this time. Yes, got beat by Ancor, who's going to be the 4th horse I use, by the way. So we'll get there in a second. But as a second off the layoff, 4-year-old taking a step here, like I love the fact that IRAD chooses close the game sugar over Bourbon Heist. And if I'm going to use Bourbon Heist and IRAD's going to pick close the game sugar, it's hard for me to leave close the game sugar off as well. So I'm going to use the 2, and then I'm going to use the 4, Ancor as well. This one should get a pretty decent setup. Like I would expect that Ancor is going to sit right behind the 2 and the 3 and get first run at them. And if Skelly comes back at all, then the 4 Ancor I think is the horse that has the best chance to win here.
That's actually the top 4 for how I have the horses ranked. So it's funny. I didn't use any of them. I just went with Scully, but I went 3, 6, 2, 4. So we saw this race quite similar. I think the 6 has got a really great chance. Yeah, we lose Irad, but we're getting Luis Saez. That's still perfectly fine. So I think he's got a great chance as well. So I'll be curious to see how the rest of your. I haven't looked at your ticket. I'll be curious to see how it ends up shaping because you're using a 4 to 5 favorite who's going to be on, 1 to 5, 2 to 5 when they go off, but you're using 3 other horses. So I'm just curious to see how the rest of your ticket goes here.
Yeah, I mean, I will be. I have a single that I think is 6-1, if I remember correctly. And that's really the way I'm trying to add value to the sequence is I'm taking a stand in a race where I think you're going to get every bit of the price. And if I'm right, I can handle having a 4 to 5 shot here, which is most likely, like you said, going off 3 to 5, 2 to 5, and still be able to make the ticket profitable because I'm singling and then going too deep in another leg where I don't believe either's the favorite. I think it's the second and third choice. So trying to find ways to get around certain horses, but also make sure that if I am right and Scully goes down here and my single's right, then I can get stacks back.
I wonder if we have the same top pick with that 6-1 there. We'll find out a little later on. Second leg of the Churchill Downs late pick 5 Saturday, June 1st. It's race 8. It's the grade 3 Shawnee Stakes 9 older fillies and mares routing 1 1/16 miles on the dirt. Where'd you go on top?
Oh man, I went with the 7 here. Skillia. I think Skillia. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. On top here, adding blinkers for Belmont. This is going to be the third run at Churchill. 2 for 2 over the course. Was able to close and win last time really easily. Like if you go back and you watch that race, it was kind of a joke. The horse didn't really try. Stepping back up into grade stakes competition, stretching back out, which is the 2 main concerns here. But if we can get back to the race last time, the race 3 back, they're all good enough to win. The horse was undefeated at 3 as well. Like this one was tough because I don't like wet paint at all. We'll see what you think about wet paint. I don't like Zagira very much, and so it's like, where do I end up going? Was almost a issue here. And it's funny because we talk about this all the time. Handicapping some of these races is really hard because you have a preconceived notion of a lot of these horses. And this race is one of those where I have a preconceived notion of wet paint, Zagira, Skillia, Who's Your Filly, Hidden Connection, like all these horses that we have watched or talked about a bunch in the past, and now they're all facing each other. And none of their careers have really panned out the way I say we expected. Like wet paint, we thought was going to be a very, very good horse. Zagira, I thought was going to be a turf horse. And here we are on dirt. Like, so it's just interesting to kind of handicap some of these. But yeah, I put Skillia on top. Where'd you go on top?
So we went the opposite direction on this. I went with Segura and left Skyla. I don't know. I hate this. I hate this horse's name as much as you do, buddy. So I'll make the case for Segura. I like that they ran her right back here at Churchill Downs. They're hoping for a fast track, but it's still in the stakes. I'm willing to scratch off the La Troyenne. First off, class wise, so much harder than what she's facing here. It was Idiomatic who completely destroyed everybody else in that spot. Your Pretty Mischievous was third in that race. I was against Segura in that race. I didn't like the layoff. I didn't like the massive class test. By far the hardest race of her career. She's now a much easier spot. A track where she was 2 for 2 before the La Troyenne. Maybe it was the slop. I don't know. But I'm going to play Segura back here on top. I did go too deep in here, but that's my case for the 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, look, I'm using the 6 again because I have an aggressive single, and then I'm using 2 prices in here. I agree with you. I was against her in the La Troyenne. I think I was also against her in the Fall City, though. No, not the Fall City. The one before that, the Mother Goose. I was against her at Aqueduct. Yeah. And like, she's just one of those horses where I feel like we know what the ceiling is. And it was kind of that run where she went at Churchill, Aqueduct, and Churchill again last year, where it's like the mid to high 90s. That's about as good as she's going to be. And if someone can run better than that, they're going to beat her. And the pace doesn't set up perfectly for her here. I think she's probably on the lead, but getting pressed by either Hoosier Philly or Hidden Connection from the outside. It's just she's one of those horses that I just scratch my head with. I still think she's a better turf horse. I still want her to run on turf, and I don't think we're going to get that.
I love that you're still on that train. All right, my second horse that I used in here, I went with the 9, Hidden Connection, 12-1. I went for a long shot, and not just because she's a long shot. I do like the price, but I didn't see a whole lot of pace in here. I thought Segura could very likely do it. I also think Hidden Connection could go from this outside 9 post. And then, by the way, if Segura doesn't fire, suddenly Hidden Connection's lone speed. She's 12-1. She has won here at Churchill Downs before, so I did like the second off the layoff angle here. She was in the double dog dare, ran a good second. Raging Sea ended up beating her, but I think with that experience and now coming back here, right back at the same distance, I ended up using her. Did you consider the 9 at all?
I did. I just think others have more upside. That was kind of like, again, she's another one where it feels like we kind of know what Hidden Connection is at this point. And I don't think her A game beats everyone else's A game if any of them show up. And so for me, that was the main issue with Hidden Connection. I agree. If she gets loose, that's the argument, right? If for some reason Segura doesn't go and Hidden Connection gets loose, I think that's your argument you can make for Hidden Connection being dangerous. 12-1 though, I don't think it's a bad price at all there. My second horse was actually the 5, Bellamore here for Steve Asmussen. Tyler Gaffleone rides. I think this horse has kind of turned a corner since getting into the Steve Asmussen barn. So we saw the career best buyer in the Houston Cougar Lady runs really well, steps up to the Azeri, which is a grade 2 tough race, then jumps all the way up to the grade 1 Apple Blossom, which just feels like it was just way overshooting the skis there. Now we're dropping back to grade 3 company. And when you talk about like the speed in this race, Segura, Hidden Connection, I think Hoosier Philly probably is a pace presence, or at least someone who could go if they decide. Ballamore seems to be the main benefactor of the lack of pace in this race, though. Ballamore should be able to break right behind the leaders, get over to the rail, and just sit there and then get first run on them. So I love the trip that Ballamore projects to get, and I like the fact that we are dropping into we're dropping in class again back down to what's like a reasonable level. Like, she had no chance in the Apple Blossom, right? And you could even make a case that she was over her head in the Azeri. But now we are dropping back to grade 3 company. She's a horse that the main knock on her, the main issue I have is she's not won on fast dirt. She's 0 for 11 on fast dirt, 4 seconds, 2/3, but she's run good numbers. It's just a question of whether or not she can get over the hump there. But yeah, Ballamore, I think at 8-1 is a nice price to be using here with the way that I project the trip's going to end up working out.
I had this horse in 4th. I think she's got a great chance to hit the board. I just didn't see, with the way my ticket is also set up, it's going to win. But I agree with you that she's a lot better than Apple Blossom. She just was, other than the La Troyenne, that's the hardest race of the year, just because of Dare Manor was such a monster. And then came back and won. Like, it was a paid workout at Santa Anita last Sunday. So I understand why you're using her there. Tyler Leon, the going to be in for the first time in not recently unemployed for the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Jockey Tyler Gaffleone got the old boot on
yes,
Sierra
he
Leone.
did. Yeah, no Sierra Leone for Gaffleone. not shocked after everything that happened in the Derby. So we'll see what happens there with Sierra Leone, and if he if I mean, look, if I just right now, if I made a pick, it'd probably be Sierra Leone. What about you?
Oh man, yeah. I think especially now with Pratt going in, how could I not?
Yeah. All right, last horse on for me. I used the one Magical Loot too, 15-1. And this was the one horse that like I was going through. So I'm like, who do I think could actually improve? Like, because again, I feel like we know a lot of these horses. Who's your Phillies hidden connections? Yeah, like we've seen them run so many times, and I realized Magical Loot run 12 times in her life. We've seen her run quite a bit as well. But 4 back, she decided to start going 2 turns, and it's made a difference for her. She ran what I thought was a pretty good race the first time going 2 turns at Churchill, goes to Tampa, faced Stakes Company, runs a decent third there, jumps up to the Grade 3 Royal Delta. Not sure what we were doing with that placement, but then comes back, faces N2X Allowance, and wins, I thought, pretty nicely at Keeneland last time out. If there's one horse that could take a step forward in this field, that we see the race that we have not seen before, to me, it's the one Magical Loot. And 15-1, I'm willing to take a shot with a price here.
I'm not going to try and talk you off of a 15-1 shot. You taught me that one, so I didn't see this horse taking that big of a step forward, but it's possible. It's just a much harder field. Julia Shawnee, by the way, finished 3rd in that race. What a damn disappointment she's turned into. I mean, lofty expectations, but still disappointment. Anyways, let's move on to the 3rd leg of the late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 1. Race number 9 is the Grade 3 Regret Stakes. We've got a field of, it's going to be 9 3-year-old fillies routing 1 1/8 on the turf. The number 10, Faith Understood, is one of those Jonathan Thomas horses that's going to scratch Honeymoon at Santa Anita. Where are you going on top?
Give me the one, Way to Be Marie on top, 3-1 on the morning line. I wish Flo wasn't riding this horse. I know but he
hasn't screwed her up in the other races. We have to tell ourselves that. He's done it right so far.
2 wins, 2 seconds. I like the fact that we are switching post position. So in the Edgewood, drew the post 10 of 11. Now we're switching to the inside here. Should favor the horse that has some tactical speed, but I don't expect to be on the lead. I don't think this horse makes the lead, but I think this horse trips out perfectly, sits in that pocket, then able to tilt wide, 2 to 3 wide right after. I would expect you're going to see Poolside with Slim go to the lead if Poolside with Slim stays in, entered in the 5th at Penn National as well. But this is a horse where, again, just kind of gotten better and better and better. The last 3 races, all been the best races of her career. Loves to be in it and win it. I like the fact that last time we ran without Lasix and we were improved there as well. So that to me was a big positive sign. And the horses that I like in here, none of them are really going to be forwardly placed outside of one other we'll talk about. And so I wanted to make sure I had someone who I thought was close to the lead. And again, the trip just projects perfectly from that one post.
Top pick for me as well. That's what you could tell. I was on your side because I was already defending Flo for you. Once you were like, I wish Flo wasn't on. Totally understand. I like, though, that in the Edgewood, that 10 post forced her to have to stalk, and she still did a great job of it. Almost won that race. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm playing back Buku. That's hard to say. The 6 horse, 5-2. Maybe she just hated the yielding going at Edgewood. They bring her right back to Churchill Downs. They're not, it's I guess a slight class drop, but still, this is a pretty tough race, I think. But if Way to Be Marie gets sucked into a pace duel, it's going to set up really well for Buku to come flying late. As long as she gets some firm going, I think she's going to be good to go.
Yeah, I like Buku as well. You're going to use this horse. I love this horse 2 back in the Appalachian. Again, I don't know how she went off at 6.5-1 that day. We've talked about that before. Absolutely wild price on her, and of course she loves. Thought she ran back okay last time. Just didn't really get the trip that she wanted. And we have a couple coming out of here that takes her on. The distance, I think, is interesting today at 1 1/8. I think Buku is one of the horses that benefits from that. There's not a ton of horses that have gone 1 1/8 and won in this field. Way to Be Marie, one of those horses that has gone 1 1/8 and won. Buku's going to go an extra 16th of a mile. I think it is a benefit for her, and I'm still. I still don't think she gets the respect she deserves. Like what she was able to do prior to going off the layoff, and to be able to come back, win right away. That last race, just the turf wasn't really to her liking, so I'm not going to knock her there. To me, it's the 6 and the 1 are the 2 logical horses, and after that, I want to go price hunting.
Yep, I went 1-6 here. 3rd for me, the number 9, Pin Up Betty. Did you use this horse for Mike Maker?
I did use this horse.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I love not looking at your ticket. This is a nice change. It's kind of fun for me to guess. All right, so I'll make my case quick and throw it back to you. She's going to sit a much closer stalking position than Buku, right? So if there's a pace collapse, this horse is, I think, will get first jump on a horse like Buku coming from way out of it. Clearly, her two best starts were the last two that were on grass. It's interesting. She finally gets on grass. Her dam was a 3-time turf route stakes winner, 5 for 16 on grass overall. They kept playing around with dirt. I know one time they tried as a 2-year-old and it got rained off, and then they tried synthetic, but then they didn't try the turf. I'm like, but pedigree. So it's easy for us to say it in hindsight here. But yeah, I think that she's running very impressively in those 2 turf starts. Seems to be progressing at 15-1 with that kind of ceiling that she seems to have. Let's go.
Yeah, it's the ceiling here. And this is, again, like we have talked about, the one horse as the one I thought could take a jump forward. The 9 feels like this is like Pinup Betty is a logical horse to take a pretty big jump forward here. Only 2 races on turf here. The last 2 races for Mike Maker. You get a lot better from start 1 to start 2. Stretch out to a mile and 1/8. Look phenomenal winning. One concern, drew the rail both of those and got a pretty good trip last time. So going to have to overcome a little bit more traffic or a little more trouble this time, breaking out of the 9. But I kind of like the 10s out here. Gives us a little bit better of a trip from the 9 post than the 10 post, or with the 10 gone, so that you're able to kind of make your trip. You don't have anyone outside of you. Going to be interested to see where this horse is placed. The race 2 back on a mile 16th on the turf, 46 2.5, and Pinup Betty was only only a length and a half off the pace. So went sub 47 to the half. Then you flip over to the mile and 1/8 race, went over 49. So has tactical speed if you need it, but also proved that she can close last time out. So I kind of feel like the 9 is one of those, is the most logical horse to take a big step forward at the 15-1 price. I love it. I use the horse right to the inside as well. Sassy Princess, the 8. This is Pratt's taking them out again for Walsh. This horse went out and set the pace last time in a $100,000 N1X allowance at Keeneland. Lost to Style Points. I don't know if you remember Style Points. We've talked about this horse quite a bit, and I can't remember off the top of my head who Style Points lost to the previous race. But
I'll look it up.
It's turned into a key race for me, because this, like, Style Points is one of those horses where when you start to notice horses that run together, that win well, and it was a horse that I love too. It's going to tick me off. When you have these horses that run well together and that you've seen progress, and then you have a horse you like and it wins. There it is. It's Wasiku or Waskishu, yeah. So I loved Waskishu in that race. Style Points runs second. Style Points jumps back into 2 allowance, wins that race. Well, this was your 4th place finisher out of that race. And so you're kind of connecting races to create key races, if you will. And I thought Sassy Princess ran really well to run 4th that day. Set the early pace, got a decent time there, and then kind of the end of the race I thought was pretty impressive as well. Didn't completely give up when passed. Ends up finishing 4th, but only finishes a neck behind Style Points, your winner, who I think is a stakes company horse. Ran the race where she ran second to Wasiku was a grade 3. So to me, she kind of fits with this field, even though we're coming out of an N1X allowance. You can point to the horses that she's been running with as stakes horses. And then all of a sudden, this is not that much of a jump up. I also like the fact that the maiden breaking score at Gulfstream wasn't on the pace. It was also out of the 10 post, going a mile and 1/8 at Gulfstream. So another horse that's had success at a mile and 1/8, today's distance, who was able to not make the lead and still run well, but has tactical speed as well, breaking from the 8 post. And then you get Flavian Pratt, who decides to run this horse back as well. So it'll be second time for Brendan Walsh out. So 8-1, not a terrible price. The 1 and the 6 are the most likely winners, but I feel like the prices with the 8 and the 9 are the way you got to go. You're muted.
Gosh darn, I haven't done that in so long. Sorry. You convinced me to put the 8 on my ticket, Sassy Princess. I was kind of on the fence back and forth, Flavian Pratt being aboard. Shawnee and I have both learned recently, don't leave Flavian Pratt off of a ticket. You just
recently
don't do it. Recently. Don't want to talk about it. So yes, I'm with you. Let's do it. Let's put the 8 on there at 8-1. I think she'll be close to that price, and see what kind of steps she can take forward. Let's move on. The penultimate leg of the late pick. Wait, no. Yes, we're already on the penultimate leg. Wow, we're just cooking right through here. Penultimate leg of the Churchill Downs late pick 5, Saturday, June 1st, race number 10. It's the grade 3 Blame Stakes. 8 older males routing a mile and 1/8 on the dirt. That's right, I said 8 because the 4, the 7, and the 10 all raced this past Monday, Memorial Day, in an allowance race. And so they're probably not going to come back here. So we'll just assume that they're scratching here. So down to a field of 8. It's the local prep for the grade 2 Stephen Foster Stakes next month. And your boy, Tappet Trace, Is he going to finally make his 2024 debut?
My boy. Probably.
You were going to pick him on top in the Ali Shiba. That makes him your boy.
Well, he was going to win the Ali Shiba, so of course I was going to pick him on top there. What do the 4, the 7, and the 10 have in common, Magic?
They're all not racing in this race.
We're all big time pace presence this year. 4, 7, and 10, all likely to go. It leaves Frosted Departure as possible lone speed on the inside. But it also means that Cagliostro, the 9 horse here, is going to get a much better trip than what I believe was going to happen before the scratches. We saw last time out, Cagliostro sat second, was able to win, hold off Dreamlike. That was first off the layoff as a 4-year-old for our girl, Sherry DeVoe. Jose Ortiz rides back here. Love the workout on May 25th after that win on April 19th. I'm singling the 9 Cagliostro here, 6-1 to try and add some value in this ticket. Too much chalk in those early legs. So we're going to go for a bigger single here. I think Cagliostro absolutely trips out here. I think it's a time to take a shot against Tapitrice. I think it's a fine time to take a shot against Dreamlike. I think it's a fine time to take a shot against Highland Falls, who's coming off a career best race. And I think the pace plays out well. So we'll go with 6-1 single here, Cagliostro, the 9 horse.
Woo, that is aggressive. Okay, so not my top pick, but we did agree on the 6-1 horse here. This is my second choice in this race. I liked it. Okay, Dreamlike was catching. People are going to say Dreamlike was catching on Cagliostro late in that race. It's like, yeah, and now he's second off the layoff. He'll improve. Well, so was Cagliostro. He was second off of the layoff. Why can't he have the same excuse? I think the pace sets up well for him to get the mile in the 8th. He did falter a little bit in Remington Park when he tried that, but he looked in that allowance race at Keeneland like this is the horse we kept waiting for as a 3-year-old. We kept picking this horse in the Indiana Derby and the Smarty Jones, and it's like every time he loses or the Oklahoma Derby, you're like, this horse has got talent. Damn it, just like show it. He finally showed it that race, and I think he takes a step forward here. Very well could do that. Top pick for me, you actually mentioned on the rail, Frosted Departure. This is going to be my top pick in this race. I thought he was going to be lone speed on the rail. Julien Leperoux, kind of like Flo. What's with those 2 French guys? They get on a lone speed horse, and you're like, can they do it? Leperoux's done it the last 2 starts, looked really great. Actually, was that 3 of her last 5 starts? He's been able to win gate to wire on her. So I think that she's going to go right from the rail. She's got the win at Churchill Downs before. She's got the red hot recent resume, the red hot trainer, Kenny McPeak right now. 15-1, she might steal it.
I mean, I don't hate it. It's 15-1. It's clear. I think Frost's Departure is, I don't want to say like dead lone speed, like not absolutely by herself out there. Cause I do think Cagliostro hangs out. Right. But I think Frost's Departure has a shot to go gate to wire. So I don't hate it at all. I'm more like, I don't really love Highland Falls, who comes off a career best number, who like is the morning line favorite here at 5-2, and like it was Skippy Longstocking last time. Like, are we sure?
I don't trust that number. Do you?
I don't.
You got a 104 buyer. I don't believe it.
I don't either, and I don't love the fact that the race before that was a 96, and that was a grade 1 where you run 4th, right? Where he didn't like. When you have these high buyers and there aren't wins. Now the 2 races prior to that, high buyers with wins. Okay, like that's cool. But the last 2 without Lasix, I didn't think Highland Falls is as good as the races before that. And now we're sitting here with a monster number that we're coming off of, and we're taking on Stakes Company. Like I couldn't get there with the 5-2. And then you have Tapitrice and Dreamlike. It's like, do you really trust either of these horses? Is that where you want to land? And I almost felt like I was guessing after I got past Cagliostro. It's like, okay, well, which one's actually going to show up? Is it Highlands Falls? Is it War Campaign? Is it Tapitrice? Is it Dreamlike? Cagliostro is the only one I'm like, yep, that horse going to show up. So let's take a swing here. But like, yeah, that's why I like your Frosted Departure pick. I like taking a shot here against what I think is a lineup of 4 favorites that are all meh, right? You know what I mean?
Did I pull a you?
Yeah, you called him or her. Yeah,
I thought so. As soon as I got done, I was like, in my head, I went, "Shit, did that happen?" Then nobody said it, and then now I see it.
Yeah, no,
in the chat.
You called him or her, and like you messed with my head too, because I'm like, wait a second,
sorry.
am I wrong? I should just trust myself in that spot.
Red Route 1, by the way, was 3rd in the Oaklawn handicap. He got a huge, his buyer was 100. Skippy Longstocking got a 107 buyer. Red Route 1 came back with that 100 buyer to get an 87 for running poorly in the Pimlico Special. Reincarnate was 4th to their credit, and he came back and was 2nd in the San Anita Derby. But yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't. I'm with you on Highland Falls. I kept wanting to call him Highland Sky. That was a different horse. I did also put Dreamlike on here. Just this was the last horse before you convinced me to add the 8. I put Dreamlike on here, and it's kind of the same argument as Cagliostro, where he's shown the trainer has a strong belief in his talent. You keep waiting for it to come out. And I think mile and 8th distance is much better for him than mile and 16th. If he's good enough, I know he's only got the 1 win and it took him forever to get there, but if he would like the mile and 8th distance, I think is very much better for him than the mile and the 16th. So if I'm using Cagliostro, for me, I had to use him, but from my perspective, I understand that you're trying to be aggressive with a single with a horse that beat Dreamlike and Dreamlike doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, Dreamlike has the one. I mean, that was an N1X allowance race, right? With both Cagliostro and Dreamlike. So both of them had just broken their maiden. That was it heading into that race, which obviously not something that you absolutely love. You got multiple winners in Tapatrice, who's won 4 times. War Campaign won 4 times. Island Fall 3 times. So definitely a knock if you're talking about those 2 horses. But you mentioned it. I mean, the barns have thought so much of both Dreamlike and Cagliostro throughout their career that they've been willing to take shots where, yeah, they were probably placed a little bit over their head, but they were consistently running well in those places too. I mean, even like Dreamlike running in the Wood Memorial as a maiden, still ran a good 3rd and just missed to hit Show and Lord Miles. So it's not like it was just like, oh, we're going to throw this horse in there and it runs 10th. No, it's we're going to throw this horse in there and they are competitive at this level. They just not able to knock the door down. I would have taken Tapatrice over Dreamlike because I think the upside for Tapatrice is a little higher than Dreamlike. But I also get like why you want to take Dreamlight here, especially if you're using Cagliostro.
All right, well, let's move on. 5th and final leg of the late pick 5, Saturday, June 1st at Churchill Downs, race 11. The Audubon Stakes were on the turf. We're going to have another scratch here, so it's going to be a field of 9 3-year-olds going the mile and 8th distance. The number 8, Twirling Point, he will run in the Jersey Derby at Monmouth Park. I don't know who he was scared of in this race. Mike, where'd you go on top?
This was the race where I feel the most confident that I will get through, and I am too deep.
Ooh.
Give me Cameo Performance on top. Walsh and Gaffleon. Man, I got a lot of Gaffleon in this sequence. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Gonna have to make a video just like Pratt Daddy.
Yeah, give me the 3 Cameo Performance here on top. This horse was phenomenal on debut. Like I thought it was a wildly underrated performance. Was close to a rather hot pace. They went 22-1, 46-1 early, went 112, came home in 142-3. That's a darn good time for them to come home, considering how fast they went early and kind of kept just running 12s as they went on. Cameo Performance was only 4 lengths behind that 46-1 pace. You go back and like when you're looking at some of these horses that win first out in the U.S., you always want to go back and look at the European race. Was second by a neck in a 13-horse field as a maiden. That's not easy to do. To then come over and run at Keeneland on the turf and be able to just stomp that field in the way that Cameo Performance did, I thought that was really impressive. Oscar Performance out of a fraud horse should have no problem with the added distance here, going from a mile and a 16th up to a mile and an 8th. Has tactical speed, but doesn't need the lead. Absolutely love that. And should improve here. Second off the layoff. It was a long layoff. Second in the U.S. Second time 2 turns. Like there's a bunch of reasons you think Cameo Performance takes a step forward. And I go through this field and like Laganos, who I liked last time out at 36-1 is now 5-1. So it's like, okay, like this is not that tough of a field to beat either. So give me Cameo Performance 6-1 on top.
This, when I was guessing what your 6-1 single might be, that was my top pick. This is who I thought of. So I agree with you. Top pick here. The horse's dam was a stakes winner in a multiple stake place and grade 3 placed turf router. So got plenty of pedigree for it. Brendan Walsh isn't known for his first timers, whether it's like first time in his barn or debuting. Not known for first time North America, even if the horse has experience. This horse was bet to like what 95 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
like that doesn't happen for Brendan Walsh horses unless they're supposed to be really great. And then, like you mentioned, the second place horse came back and won next out. That second place horse was 6 lengths clear of third. So you had 2 horses that were much the best in a Keeneland turf race. There's always a ton of talent in those turf races. And then that horse that was second came back and won. Yeah, I love that. I got so excited looking at this horse's past performance. And I was like 6-1. I don't know if it's going to stick, but I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, like what price Langos goes off at, what price Can Group goes off at, what price Formidable Man goes off at. Because Formidable Man also came out of that Laganos race last time and was a monster price, and now you're staring at 5-1, right? So the price just doesn't, it's a drastic drop off from the numbers you were getting on Derby Day. Other horse I used right to the inside, Cugino, I thought the trip on that Derby Day race wasn't great for Cugino, especially compared to Formidable Man and Lagnos, who both were forwardly placed in what was a reasonable pace early and a very fast time late. They went 1:12 and 4 to the mile or to the 6 furlongs and went 1:43 and 2 there to finish out the race. So very good finish to the race. Cugino able to still close some ground, was 6 wide on the far turn, was 10 of 14 post. Now we're drawing the 2 post. Oh, by the way, was the 12 of 12 in the Transylvania and ended up running second there. No matter what you think of Castellano, you also get an upgrade here to Pratt. 7-2 on the morning line. To me, 2 and 3 is all you need in this race, and you can get through it.
I use this horse. I had a couple of that I used. I went 4 deep, but I did use this horse because I kept saying it was like after the Colonel Liam, it's like, okay, I'll play him back at the Transylvania. He was so close despite the outside post. The Transylvania, so close. American Turf. All right, I'm going to play Cugino because he was so close from that outside post. And again, the outside post bites him in the ass. And it's post 2. Like Shug probably shed a little tear when he saw that. He's like, oh, we're not going to be on the outside with this horse. Oh, and Flavian Pratt's agent wants to ride. Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
Yeah, I don't love that he's 7-2 based off the last couple races, but
yeah, that's more than fair though. Like honestly, he should be 2-1 in this race.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we're making an argument for Cameo Performances coming off a maiden win, has only run one run once in the U.S. After that, like I said, Formula Man 5-1 on the morning line was 24-1 last time out, right? Laganos last time out 36-1, 5-1 on the morning line. Twirly Point 4-1 is out of the race. Like 7-2 seems like a high price to me on the 2 horse. I think it ends up being closer to 2-1. I think that's closer to fair odds. Probably somewhere around 5-2 I need for a win bet.
Good point. My 2 other ones, I went with the long shot, number 7, Rockin' the Halo, 10-1 here for trainer Tom Amos. Of course, won its debut, was sprinting on the turf, and then got into an off-turf race. Ran third, first try going 2 turns on dirt. I thought it was a pretty good effort there, considering it's not what the horse is made for. Came back in an allowance race at Fairgrounds. A horrible trip. It wasn't all the jockey's fault, but just a horrible trip there. Finally, Churchill Downs last time out, going a mile and a 16th. Almost last of 12 there, 6-7 lengths behind. Comes rallying with a big flourish. I don't think he's going to get stuck so far behind because he broke from post 12 that day, post 7 here. He's still going to be closing, but if there's a pace collapse of any kind, and there's a little bit of potential for it here if the 3 and if the 5 gets challenged, that sort of a thing. So I'm going to put the 7 on the ticket here just in case of a pace collapse. I thought that turf effort last out, especially navigating all that traffic, was pretty impressive. And then I did use the 5 Formidable Man. Thought he looked damn good in that turf win. Turf race, almost won gate to wire. He's a threat to win gate to wire here too. So that's kind of where I'm going with him. Saya's riding for McCarthy. Got a little bit, an inside draw here. So hoping he can take him gate to wire, but distance shouldn't be an issue for him.
Yeah, the pace is going to be interesting in this race. You would think it's Formidable Man. Time Form actually has Cameo Performance as being your pace in here.
I saw that.
Laganos also has a higher early Time Form rating than Formidable Man. I don't think Laganos is going to be your early leader. So we'll see what type of trip we get out of Formidable Man. We also saw Thomas Aquarius last time out go to the lead, going a mile and 3/16 over Keeneland's turf. Now that was slower, but it was from the 8 post, so it did take a little bit of effort to be able to do it. And then Nomos on the rail, who beat Thomas Aquinas last time, also showed some speed, and that was from the 10 post. So the switching of the posts of the 1 and the 4, I think are going to be interesting for the early pace and kind of how they play out.
Was there any other horses that you'd considered that we didn't talk about in here?
Not really. I mean, Can Group at 15-1. I guess
this is another one. Get him off of those outside posts because he's horrible.
And this is a horse I think everyone thought had a ton of talent. I mean, it won the Grade 2 Bourbon last year at 5-1, right? Or, I'm sorry, at 27-1, won the Grade 2 Bourbon, coming off a 5-1 winner. But beat Noted, beat Vote No, 2 horses that have taken a step forward. Finished 4th in the Breeders' Cup Turf, and then just ran in the Lecomte. Okay, throw the line through it, and then the last 2 races was 10-12, 12-14. Like so. Maybe you could make an argument for Can Group here at a price if you want to say, okay, I'm going to go back to that 2-year-old form. I didn't do it. I think there's other horses a little more interesting, and I kind of think that the 2 and the 3 are by far the best horse in this field. But I could make a case for the 10 if you wanted to.
I think you need a couple more scratches. You got 1 scratch, so he's going to be breaking from post 9, but get him down to a field of 7. Well, then if it's a field of 7, maybe there's not enough pace for him to close into. He just needs a new post. That's all.
He needs to draw inside one of these. And this is a horse where maybe you keep an eye. if we have a bad trip again from the 10 and we draw inside against a allowance field or a grade 3 type level field, all of a sudden you want to use Can Group at a big price because of the posts the last 3 times.
By the way, Rob, no telling what Dettori does. Dettori is going to be at Monmouth Park. That he was named to ride this horse for Thomas. It was his only mount at Churchill, so Thomas took him over to. He's got 6 rides for Jonathan Thomas at Monmouth Park. It's going to be a weird combination there. You're playing on the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, Dettori and Monmouth not exactly synonymous with each other.
He hasn't been there since Monmouth hosted the Breeders' Cup, is what the article said.
That makes sense.
Because why else would he go to Monmouth Park? United Nations, maybe?
A Haskell ride, yeah. I mean, it would have to be one of those type of things.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to talk about Saturday, June 1st, the Churchill Downs late pick 5 all stakes sequence. Some really great fields, some great betting opportunities. We went a couple different approaches here. We'll give out our tickets one last time. I went with the dollar base here because I have the aggressive single, and also because because I have the single that's going to be very popular. So trying to extract a little more value here. So for $1, it'll cost for $1, it's 96. If you want to spend $48, it's 50-cent base, but it's 3 with the 6-9. Damn you fine. 1689, then 169, then 2357. $96, Mr. Somich.
I am going to try a little different strategy here. I'm going to aggressively single in the 4th leg and go short in the 5th so I can spread out and see if we can catch a price against some of the favorites I think are going to be early in this sequence. And the second and the 3rd race, I think they're more vulnerable. The first one, I am more, using the strategy of if Scully doesn't fire, I want to be alive here and have a big ticket possible. So going to go 4 deep in the first leg. Going to go 2, 3, 4, 6. Second leg going 1, 5, 6, 7 with 1, 6, 8, 9 with 9 with 2, 3. That'll cost you $72 for 50 cents.
We had some breaking news that happened while we were in the middle of the show. Figured we would talk about it afterwards. Fierceness is officially out of the Belmont Stakes. They're going to now point to the Haskell. Pletcher still has Antiquarian that could go, and possibly Mindframe to go in the Belmont Stakes. I'd love to see Mindframe if he's ready for it. I'm not sure if my guess with him was they would go Jim Dandy Travers or Curlin Travers, one of the two with him. But Fierceness out of the Belmont. So we don't have to worry until the Haskell. Is he going to show up or is he not going to show up?
Yeah, happy and sad about this. Happy because now I won't be wrong about Fierceness. Sad because I kind of would like to see Fierceness run and see if he could win one of the Triple Crown races and show up with the A game. And what happens if he shows up with the A game? Because that's the other thing. We haven't seen Fierceness show up with the A game and someone run with him yet, which would be awfully fun to see too. Like he just ran away from everybody in the Florida Derby, ran away from everybody in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I would love to see him run his big race and then also see Sierra Leone try and run him down. And what does that actually look like? Because we haven't gotten that opportunity yet.
So that has us down now to a field of possibly 12. I was listening to Blinkers Off, which Aaron and Jared spent maybe an hour on Blinkers Off talking about Fierceness. So it's hard for me to say, go back and listen to it, but go back and listen to it if you want to hear what they thought of Fierceness for the Belmont.
Skip the Fierceness from minute 4 to hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Just skip ahead. If you're watching the video, you can just skip ahead until they start talking about all the stakes races this weekend. But so Fierceness is out. Batten Down, they said, might not go, which, by the way, we didn't mention it, but Batten Down, a full brother to Tacitus, also a full brother to Scylla, who you're using in the second race there. So, but yeah, he might not go, they said, for Belmont. So you're leaning Sierra Leone. I'm leaning Sierra Leone. Wine Steward, I heard a rumor might not go. Might be having some knee issues as well. So
yeah, that was a rumor from our own Dr. Miranda.
I was trying not to out her.
Oh, hey, she posted it as news. Like she was like, I have very good sources.
So was it public? She made it public?
Yeah. She put it on
Twitter. Was that on the Twitter?
Yeah, on the X. Why. Yeah.
On the X. I refuse. Yeah. Batten Down going to Ohio. Yeah.
So we'll see what we get here. I'm still excited. I think the racing, like when we actually see the full fields for the undercard, I'm going to be more excited about the other races that are on these 2 days than I am going to be the Belmont Stakes. Like it's sounding like the undercards are both going to be phenomenal on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week. Santa Anita, not so much. The Honeymoon Stakes was okay, but they got 4 horses for the Triple Bend, which is a grade 2 race, a sprint, and it got 4 horses.
Yeah.
One of them was entered last week against the Chosen Vron and scratched out of that one, made that a 4-horse race, and now he's going to come over here. Jesus, it's a mess.
I don't blame him. I can't remember the horse's name. He's been beaten by the Chosen Vron like 5 times. Like, do you really want to run back again? Sees the great.
Oh, I get it. But he's going to exit that race, or he's going to scratch out of a race with a smaller purse and supposed to be easier spot because it's Calbrets to go to a grade 2 race with a twice the money.
Yeah, Big City Lights. There you go.
Big City Lights.
And I feel bad for Big City Lights because just getting his head bashed in by
born at the wrong time, man. The only horse that's ever beat him is the Chosen. Right? Probably like, can you just go
just go away? Go run a graded stakes somewhere.
I can understand the side where as an owner you're like, oh, I want to own, or I just want to keep winning races. It's a lot of fun to win races. It's hard to win races. So I understand that they're like, let's just keep doing there. There's a part of me that's like, the Calbred program, like those horses, this is their one chance to try and make some decent money, and you're just taking it from them. Go to a graded stakes. You don't have to face Skelly. Go somewhere else that you can do that.
Well, you want to face Skelly this weekend because he's going to lose.
Because the guy who used him. He's going to lose, but I'm not so sure about that. Anyways, we are sure that we're very happy you joined us. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Coming up here in 10 minutes, if you're watching live or at 3 p.m. Pacific, Dudes Who Bet Sports. There's really not much for them to talk about because we're getting down in the NBA and NHL playoffs. And Aaron and Papa Dude are just going to do an open forum. So if you've got some ridiculous questions you want them to ask, they're not going to have much to talk about. So go to the live chat there, send in your questions, see what kind of funny stories you can get out of Papa Dude.
Yeah, like, is a hot dog a sandwich?
I wanted because our good friend Kevin B, who's in the live chat a lot, he's getting married Belmont Stakes weekend at Saratoga, and before on Dudes Who Bet Daily, Papa
he's getting
Dude
married
went off
at
on this,
Saratoga.
Not at the track. He's gonna be in Saratoga, but he's not getting married at Saratoga. It's a whole thing. Papa Dude, we found this out months ago. Papa Dude just laid into him straight 5 minutes for how stupid it was that he was doing it, that he was letting his wife control him and call the shots. And it was a great tirade. So now with that wedding now on coming up this coming week or next weekend, I want them to revisit that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that. Papa Dude, give us some marriage advice for Kevin B. See how that goes.
Yeah. Maybe not. Anyway,
maybe not.
Real quick announcement too.
Yes.
So weekend, I see Nick Sievers in the chat. So yeah, he'll probably be interested in this as well as Dr. Tang, although Dr. Tang turned down the invite. Last weekend in June, I will be up in Chicago at Hawthorne Racetrack, the Crestwood OTB there. If anyone's going to play 2 NHC tournaments, there is a tournament on Saturday for $500. We can qualify you into the Hawthorne Invitational, which is on Sunday at Crestwood. And the Hawthorne Invitational, if you don't know, it's a tournament you have to be invited to, and then there's a couple spots that can be won the day before. $2,500 entry. I think it was. I can't remember who won it last year. Anyway, I will be doing a 4-hour live show during the tournament while I'm playing it as well with the Hawthorne team there. Let's stream live on YouTube. So if you want to talk to some of the best tournament players, talk about why they're making the plays they are, as well as hear my tournament strategy in real time as I play the tournament, make sure you check that out. That's going to be the last weekend in June here. I believe the tournament is June. So I get it right here. The finals are on June 30th from Hawthorne. And it's a cool tournament because unlike a lot of others, you can play pick 4s and pick 5s. You can bet pretty much anything you want, which makes it awfully interesting. Yeah. Eddie Olchuk won it last year as well. So should be a fun time.
No kidding.
If you're in the Chicagoland area, check out Crestwood OTB Saturday and Sunday if you want to play in those tournaments for NHC seats. And Hawthorne also has a $1 million bonus for winning NHC if you win one of their $1 million bonus seats as well. So an extra $1 million on the line if you do want to try and make your way to NHC.
I'm looking this up online right now, like what the actual OTB looks like inside. Those leather chairs look really nice. That looks like a nice setup there. So that's awesome that you're going to go broadcast live from there. That's on Saturday, you said, at the end of the month?
Saturday, I will actually doing the VEASAN show live from that sports book. And then Sunday, we'll be doing the tournament show live. I want to say it's 2 to 6 Central, something like that, for the tournament.
Look at you. I'm over here pitching stories, just trying to get myself on air, and they're like, "Hey, Mike Somich, you go over there and do this for 4 hours, and then the next day do this for 4 hours." That's awesome.
It'll be a fun little trip back to the old stomping grounds. Went to high school in Chicago, so now getting back out there. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. No, it's not Illinois breads. This is the fun part. Again, it's I have to look up the official. I know the rules are you can bet anything you want from a trifecta, superfecta, super high five, pick 4, pick 5, whatever you want to do with your bankroll. So it's fun in that sense. It's also a no rake tournament, which is nice as well. So good one to get into if you can. And like I said, you can win a seat on Saturday if you want to go play at one of the local Chicago OTBs or one of the Hawthorne-based OTBs in Chicago. $500 entry there. NHC seats as well as seats for Sunday are available.
Before I let you go, 2 things: Panthers Rangers tonight, Oilers Stars tomorrow. Who you got?
Panthers are going to win tonight. The Panthers should have already won this series. They should have won the series 4-0. Shesterkin is absolutely stood on his head. And like, that's the only reason why we still have a series going on that side. Specifically, really like Panthers in the second period. You can get them plus 165 minus a half goal. Reasoning behind it. So when you watch these games, what you notice is that the Panthers forecheck really hems the Rangers into their own zone. What is the worst period for that to be effective? The second period. Why? The long change. So if you go back and you watch the second period in the game 4, if you go back and watch the second period in game 3, because Florida is able to hamper the Rangers into their zone for so long and have to get the puck deep into Florida's zone to get their defensemen off, you're seeing shifts that are 1:45, 2:15 from the defensive pairings of New York, which is giving Florida a massive edge specifically in the long change periods. You only get one a game. That's the second period. You can get the Panthers plus 165 minus a half goal in the second period right now, or plus 165 in a 3-way market. Make sure you check your books and get the better price depending on which it's offered. But I think that the Panthers have a specific advantage in second periods right now during this series, and I think that's the best way to attack it.
That was some Moneyball shit there. That was awesome. Next level stats. That's why he works for VSiN. That's why he's got the VSiN banner behind him.
So we got Panthers for the game, and I bet Panthers second period.
Okay, I'm with you on Panthers. What about Stars, Oilers? I'm mad that Dallas hasn't put Edmonton away yet.
I think Dallas is the best team if they can play like they did against Colorado. If they can play like they did against Vegas.
It's like a letdown.
They have not played as well this series as they have the previous 2 series. If they brought that game to this series, they would win 4-1. But here we are 2-2 because they have not brought that game. Now, we've seen glimpses of it. We saw a glimpse of it in game 3, the second and third periods where they absolutely dominated. Like, I now am worried because Tanev's out. So Chris Tanev, one of their big trade deadline acquisitions, hurt his ankle blocking a shot in game 4. We're not sure of his status yet for game 5. So we'll see what happens there. But Tanev coming back is a big part of whether or not the Stars can get through here. I was really confident in the Stars when the series started. I bet them minus 120 to win the series. I bet them plus 165 after game 1 to win the series. Right now, before game 5 is the least confident I have been in Dallas to win this series because I don't know what yesterday was. I don't know what it was after going up 2-0 to just kind of fall apart fundamentally like they did yesterday.
Bonus question, then I'll let you go. The other Dallas Mavericks, they close out tonight at Minnesota?
I'll go with yes. I played them plus 4.5. I would play the plus 180 as well. Sprinkle a little bit there. I have 24-1 on Dallas to win the title. So I'm sitting here as a very big Mavs fan right now. I'm all Dallas right now. I got the Mavs at 24-1. I've got the Stars at 12-1 when they were down 2-1 to Vegas. So I'm rooting for both Dallas teams to win the titles this year.
I'm with you on that one. I don't normally like Dallas, but if the big D Detroit can't do anything, we'll go to the Texas D. That's not what I meant at all. Wow. Anyways, thanks so much for joining us for the Magic Mike Show. We're going to get the hell out of here. I am a professional, I swear. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week, Thursday. We're going to take next Monday off, but we'll be back next Thursday. Belmont Stakes Day at Saratoga. We'll be covering that late pick 5. So tune in then. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend. See you next week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.